Hello, welcome everybody to the Wildstorm Addiction, episode 4. We're going to be discussing the weeks of May 12th, May 19th, and May 26th tonight. And as always, my co-host Ben is with me. Say hi, Ben.
Hello, Wildstorm crew.
We have been on a mini hiatus, not too long, but Ben will discuss that in a minute. But just want to mention real quick that we do have 2 new podcasts at the Comic Addiction. We have the DC Core Addiction podcast, hosted by podcast veterans Chris Parton, who you've heard at Image Addiction, and Paul Stephen Brown from the X Addiction. And we also launched the Avengers Addiction podcast with Corwin Kroll, who is from the Comic Addiction, and Anthony Ellis, who is also from X Addiction. So a lot of our guys have split into different things, getting some new podcasts rolling. So if you haven't given those a listen, head over to the site and give them a download and see what they got to say.
Yeah, and I just wanted to remind everybody that we do, talk through spoilers with the issues that we're reviewing, but they are a couple weeks old. And as you've noticed, this episode will be going out a little bit later. We are reviewing 3 weeks worth of Wildstorm, and the reason for that is just that the Wildstorm core titles and the creator-owned titles, there really wasn't a whole lot of releases, so we kind of waited a week to get a couple more titles in so that we have more to talk about tonight.
And even though we do discuss spoilers, remember that the written reviews we do at the site are spoiler-free. And obviously those come up a lot sooner before we get to the podcast. So anyway, we're going to move on to some Wildstorm news we got here. We've got a KANE and LYNCH comic coming based on the Square Enix game. It's going to coincide with the release of the new video game, KANE and LYNCH 2, Dog Days. And both of those are going to come out in August. It's going to be a 6-issue miniseries, and it's going to act as a bridge between the story of the first game and the second game. And Wildstorm fans will recognize the writer is Ian Eddington from Stormwatch PhD. And the art is going to be by Chris Mitten, and Ben Templesmith of the 30 Days of Night will provide the covers. So I've never played that game, but if Ian Eddington's writing it, should be interesting. Speaking of August, we also have a new creator-owned project coming in August. It's called Ides of Blood, and it's going to be a 6-issue miniseries. It's written by Stuart C. Paul with art by Christian Deuce. And the solicitation says, the year is 44 BC. Julius Caesar has conquered Transylvania, and vampires, which is spelled with a Y for some reason, and vampires are Rome's new slave class. But when rich mortals start turning up dead with fang marks on their necks, Valens, a vampire slave turned Roman soldier, plunges into the blood-soaked underworld of Rome to capture the Pluto's Kiss Killer. If he can prove himself, he'll earn rank and riches beyond what anyone this side of the Tiber has ever seen. But if he fails, he might find himself on top of the pile of bodies.
Nice.
Sounds epic to me. Sounds like Gladiator with vampires is what it sounds like. It's also interesting to note that this miniseries is going to sport a $3.99 cover price.
Yikes.
Yeah. Speaking of $3.99, DC is making the shift to $3.99 titles, and that will include some Wildstorm titles. Ow! Ah! Oh my God. My wallet just bit me. I swear to God. I'm sorry, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. Yes. All of our wallets I'm sure are hurting. Or hurting us.
Now I was going to say, DC's probably thinking the same thing. That's why they're bumping up to $3.99.
Yeah, because one of the titles is going to be Welcome to Tranquility, the One Foot in the Grave miniseries, which actually debuts in July at $2.99, but then they increase to $3.99 with issue 2. So it's like they hook you in and then they just raise the price because they know that we love Gail Simone too much and we can't let her down. Mm-hmm. And other creator-owned and licensed titles like the X-Files, 30 Days of Night, Fringe, Tales from the Fringe, FreeRealms, Gears of War, and the aforementioned KANE and LYNCH already have the $3.99 price. Thankfully, though, the Wildstorm U titles, Wildcats, The Authority, DV8, and Gen 13 are still $2.99 as of August. So at the very least, we won't all have to start eating ramen noodles and eating cheap pizza so we could keep getting our comics. I don't know about you, but that's how I had to get them when I was in college.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the news, huh?
Yep, that's all we got.
All right. Well, we're actually just going to kick it off here. We have DV8 Gods and Monsters number 2 of 8 by Brian Wood and Rebecca Isaacs, and the awesome cover, as always, by Fiona Staples. Joe actually mentioned in the show notes for me, and I'm going to repeat this, but I didn't even pick up on this, but issue number 1, the titles for the issues in the credits are named after songs, and issue number 1 was The Day I Tried to Live, which is a Soundgarden song, and this issue number 2 that we're reviewing right now is Cursed Female, which is a Porno for Pyro song, and I don't know how you picked up on that, because I'm an idiot. I did not.
Well, actually, James over at the Wildstorm Resource Wiki...
did he put it in there?
Yeah, when he posted it, so I can't take credit for that. That was James.
Good. All right. Thanks a lot, James. You rock. Issue number 2, if you didn't see the cover, which is an awesome cover, by the way, is all about bliss. So, like we said, when we reviewed issue number 1, we were pretty sure that each of these 8 issues are going to go through, each character that makes up DV8. So, issue number 2 is all about Bliss and her crazy horde of death ladies that all have their faces painted like skulls and look awesomely, attractive for some reason to me. I don't know why, but whatever.
Do you like dangerous women?
Yes, something like that. I don't know. So this issue actually jumps right into the conflict that we saw at the end of the last issue, which was Copycat and Frostbite kind of running into Bliss and her, followers, let's just say. There is a little backstory of how Bliss, came to run into this all-female tribe. And you get to see what this female tribe, how they kind of worked and interacted before they met Bliss, their new god. They sacrifice men from Frostbite and Copycat's tribe. There's a lot of weird things, but Bliss immediately runs into one of their tribe and realizes that her powers don't work on at least one of them. I'm not sure. I guess her powers work on the rest of them, but the one that she initially met, her powers didn't work on her, so she was kind of intrigued by that and decided to follow her and kind of became part of their tribe, which was interesting because they don't seem to really take people in too often. And she was female, so I guess she was allowed in. There is a really, really creepy birthing scene that lasts for a couple pages, and I can't say I've ever read nor seen a birthing scene in a comic book, and it kind of freaked me out. But it was well done. It was cool.
They were discussing it in Sparta last issue, so maybe
that's true. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
See, they were prepping us for this. It's subliminal.
Yeah, that's true. And then, right after that creepy birthing scene, hot lesbian action scene. So we're getting a lot of good stuff in this one.
Good old Brian Wood.
Yeah. And then, the conflict starts. Frostbite, uses his powers to kind of keep the conflict from, hitting head on, really. He kind of deflected it, and, her tribe was going up to Frostbite's tribe for, their... I don't know what the frequency is, but their sacrifice. I don't know if it's an annual sacrifice or whatever, but, his tribe was actually totally okay with it. They were expecting it and understood that this is just something that happens. And he wasn't going to have that, so he kind of just stopped it and was like, no, you're not taking one of my tribe. Like, forget this. I don't care who you are. And then after that, they go to seek out Powerhouse. So that, I'm guessing, I forget, I didn't look at the cover, but I'm guessing, he is the next cover. So we will be seeing what Powerhouse is doing, off in his crazy neck of the woods in this weird land. What did you think of the issue, Joe?
I thought it was a really good second issue. There was obviously more of a focus, like you said, on Bliss, so that didn't make it as broad as the first issue.
Right.
So we were just able to, like I said, it was just nice to focus in on her. I mean, obviously it could have been any character in the second issue, but the fact that he picked Bliss, which to me is one of the more interesting characters, which, we joked with Chris Parton over at Image Addiction when we did the Gen 13 retro review that when Bliss was introduced in the original Gen 13 miniseries, she did nothing,
Right.
She was almost like a wasted character. And I told Chris, I'm like, well, just wait. I know Brian Wood's not gonna treat her like that. I know he's gonna make her a good character, because even in Warren Ellis's run, he started giving her a personality, which I actually got in discussion with some people at some of the boards that some people thought the fact that she was showing compassion during that creepy birthing scene you're talking about was in character. I thought it was a little bit out, but I guess from all the discussions, it basically boiled down to how far into the original DV8 series did you read? Because if you stopped at Warren Ellis like I did, she was still pretty selfish. But apparently if you read all the way to the end, from what some of the people were telling me on the boards, she does become more sympathetic, which was interesting. But the bottom line is, Brian Wood said that he's basing the characters here off of Warren Ellis's version of them. So I think that's why, we get maybe a little bit of both, I guess. Because I like Bliss when she's selfish.
Right. I read through the whole first series too, and I still felt it was a little bit out of character too. Even though she did soften up a little bit at the end of that run, but even still, it wasn't enough to.
Yeah, and for me, it just makes sense, based on what happened to her and her brother at Threshold. I mean, I'm not saying that she couldn't become sympathetic eventually, but it sure would take a lot. And based on her powers, I think her powers, are really what messed with her, and would really keep her from staying on the straight and narrow, I guess, forever, because her powers, it's just so easy to serve her and nobody else. She's got a whole tribe of women following her, and they're literally fawning over her, and that's mainly because of her power, not necessarily because of her, although I'm sure, she's part of it.
Yeah, she actually had to be persuaded to, use her power for somebody else. Like almost to the point that she didn't know how to do that, which I'm sure that she does know how to do that, but, that's how it read. Yeah.
And one other thing that was interesting too was the scene later between Frostbite, Copycat, and Freestyle. Because I know nothing about Freestyle. I didn't read any issues with her. I never read any crossovers with her. Nothing.
It doesn't matter. Even if you did, you still wouldn't know anything.
Yeah. Even according to Rebecca Isaac, she said it was hard for her to find out information about the character. So for me, this might as well be a new character, just with the same name, which is fine because I love her look. And this little exchange she has, which it's kind of showing that she's kind of brainy, kind of goofy, that is definitely something that none of the others share.
Yeah, that's true.
So that was cool to see that she's in this mix, and that's the part she plays. So that was very interesting to me. I'm already liking her as a character just based solely on that little bit of information he gave us. And you were saying about Powerhouse, he seems to be in the biggest bong party there is. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it really does look that way. I'm really looking forward to issue number 3 just because he also, he had his issues in the first series, but even to me, he still doesn't seem like the most fleshed out character in the world. So I'm looking forward to reading his story.
Yeah, and didn't he die in the original run?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
But the good thing is that for as much as a fiasco as Worldstorm was, it did allow pretty much anybody and everybody to come back to life. So you can chalk this one up to that too.
In the first series, I don't know how much of you read of it, but he was basically drunk the entire series. He was trying to drink his sorrows away. So I guess there's a correlation between him just being, high the whole time in this world and trying to forget that he's there. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. What did you rate it?
I gave it a 7. It was a little bit slower, but I guess I should have expected that. I mean, that first issue wasn't overarching. Like, it was very fast-paced. Like, he kind of had to move the story all around and, catch everybody up. So this one felt a lot slower. Not that that is a bad thing, but I really enjoyed the entire issue. And, I mean, this whole series, you could pretty much chalk it up as awesome. So, and we're only 2 in. I mean, I can't imagine it ever going downhill from here. So,
I gave it an 8, which is just 1 point lower than what I gave issue 1. And I kind of for the same reasons. Yeah, it was obviously slower. But it needed to be after issue 1. You could.
It did.
So, and I mean, I know some big things are coming. Even Rebecca Isaacs, during the interview mentioned that there's some crazy battles that she drew later. So, I hope we get to see Bliss and her tribe in action. I would just love to see that. I don't care who they fight. I just want to see them fight.
Yeah, right.
So. Anyway, good issue. I know a lot of people around the net felt better about the series after the issue 2. So yeah, definitely a good solid series so far. If you're not following it, go get it. Okay, moving on. We got creator-owned title, Garrison #2, which is by Jeff Mariotti and Francesco Francavilla. And this is one that I was really happy with the second issue, because the first issue came out and it was good. It had some potential. It just was missing a little something. It's kind of like eating a food and you're just like, there's a spice missing. There's something, and I felt that for issue 1. But it was issue 1, so I was willing to give it a pass and see what issue 2 was going to offer. And issue 2, opens up with good old-fashioned bar fight. So
yeah,
right there, right away, that bumped it up in my book right away, because I'm always up for a good bar fight. And well, not me personally, but reading one. And, so yeah, I don't want to put that out there, because I've had some offers to go grab a few drinks after San Diego Comic-Con, and I don't I don't want to throw it out there. No temptation. Anyway, so one thing that's cool about the issue that I just found out a couple days ago off of Wildstorm's blog, The Bleed, is that this opening scene where Garrison has an altercation with a couple of guys, apparently one, page 2, if you're looking at the comic, upper right-hand corner, is Jeff Marriott, the writer. He's the one with glasses and kind of goatee, about to shoot some pool. The guy who kind of talks smack to Garrison is Shannon Eric Denton, the editor. So apparently Francesco put that in there, just kind of like a little visual gag. And I would, if I was Mr. Denton, I would ask why his character was the one that basically Garrison grabs by the crotch and throws over the bar.
Yeah.
I'd be calling Francesco, Monday morning. Do you have some issues with me that we need to discuss?
I didn't realize that little Easter egg. That's cool. Yeah, it's page 2 and 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't either. I mean, like I said, they just posted that a couple of days ago. So, but yeah, so get a good old-fashioned bar fight, mainly because apparently Mr. Denton was making fun of Garrison's hat, and so that's all it took. And everybody starts fighting, and so you think you're just gonna have a good old-fashioned bar fight, but no, Garrison grabs the bar and literally tears a chunk off of it and whacks a guy with the bar. So all of a sudden, Garrison's not just some crazy, quote unquote serial killer, as they dub him. He's got some sort of superpowers. Because, I don't care how much you work out, just pulling the chunk of the bar out is no small feat. So, and then to further add insult to injury to Mr. Denton, Garrison grabs him and takes the beer tap, sticks it up his nose, and starts filling his nose with beer. See, this is when the comic started turning around for me. I'm like, okay, this is fun. They're having fun. Like, it's not just a boring little fight scene. That they're putting some thought into this. Like I said, I could tell they were having a lot of fun with this scene. They weren't just doing a boring action scene. They were adding all kinds of details, like, making it a nice little fight. It doesn't stop even when the cops show up. Garrison, which for a while there, I looked like he was letting himself get captured. But nope, takes out a cop and runs away. And then we cut to Scully. Jillian. She's Scully, people. Come on. Doing her research on Garrison. So far, this is the only part she's playing in the comic is just research, which I guess is fine. There's really, she did have a traumatic experience in the first issue where Garrison claims that the agent he killed was going to kill her. So now she's doing research to find out if that's true. And she comes across another agent. I'll see the name. Is it Sheila? No.
Clark Sullivan.
There you go, Clark, which is an interesting name for a female.
Yep.
And goes to see Clark Sullivan, and basically Sullivan tells her, it's so funny. This was one part that I'm like, you always got to have the rival who's chasing the same person. You always, it's like, back off. Garrison's mine. And it's like, okay, so now we got two women chasing after him that are both agents. So, that part was okay, but I'm like, did we have to go there, But it's okay. It's not a big deal. So we get a little bit about Garrison's past, which is interesting. Seems like he has some flashbacks to, looks like being some sort of agent himself. And the scene from issue 1, where he's walking away from basically an exploding, we assumed it was the whole town. I said now entering Greenfield. Somehow that's all tied to his origins, which for some reason he's very fuzzy on too. And then afterwards, he gets detected by a satellite, which was pretty cool, because apparently everything else has a hard time detecting him, so they had to resort to satellites to find him. So we have a really cool, what was almost like a Matrix-like scene, him jumping across the rooftops and trying to get away, and you got all these cops trying to chase him down. They're all in their black suits and night vision. It's just this again was just more. It was more action, but it felt fluid. It's like I didn't feel like this was forced. We got a little bit of information, and then he gets compromised and he's got to run, and so I think that's what I appreciated about the action in this, and it's really cool. He just basically takes them all out, single-handedly, and at the very end, crashes out the window and lands in front of a group of officers who all look like him. So, a very, very interesting cliffhanger, to say the least. And but I will say, I am glad that they said that he noticed that they all look like him, because it was kind of hard to tell exactly, because he doesn't have other than the tattoos, he doesn't have a really distinct face. So I was glad that Mariotti added in those text boxes. So anyway, I liked the issue. What did you think?
I don't know. I'm still not sold on this just yet. I don't know what it is. I guess I'll have to wait and see still. I did like the end. You were talking about the night vision goggles and stuff, and you can't not think of Splinter Cell when you're reading those last couple pages.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's interesting to see if he is a clone or not. with all those guys that all look like him. So I guess, there's a lot going on, to look forward to. And I don't know. I should be excited to look forward to those, but for some reason I'm just not just yet. I mean, it was a great issue. A lot of solid action, much faster paced than the first one. We were discussing the first one, how it felt very much like a television show, big opening explosion, and then it slows down, and then a cliffhanger at the end. And this one was pretty much action-packed throughout the whole thing. The center slowdown was much shorter than the first issue. So it read a lot faster. It was a lot more fun. But, I still need to be convinced, I guess. So I'm looking forward to issue number 3. I gave this one a 6, though. It was a good read.
Yeah. No, and I stuck with 7, which is what I gave the first one, just because I feel like he's going to go somewhere with this next issue. I mean, it was a good cliffhanger, and I just, I don't know, I kind of held back a little bit just because I feel like something cool's coming. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the next issue.
All right. Next we have Wildcats number 23 by Adam Beechin and Tim Seeley, and the cover by Pete Woods, which is the other half of the cover that was on The Authority number 22. In the last issue, the last issue was a big setup issue, with Spartan now kind of as the weatherman, kind of pulling everybody in and kind of setting up teams for, the different things that he needed to do to try to get the world back in shape. So this issue, we get to see his second-hand man, which is Grunge now all of a sudden. And, he has to kind of step out of his comfort zone as a skater and a slacker and kind of take over some responsibility that he obviously can handle, but is a big shock to his system. And I may actually need to defer to you a little bit on these first couple pages, Joe, because I was a little confused. I didn't read a lot of the old Gen 13. I haven't caught up on it. And I don't know if this is the current team that he's kind of tripping out on, or I was a little confused by that. Do you know what was going on here?
I meant to jump online and see if either Adam Beechin or Tim Seeley would answer this, but what it is, obviously in the picture he's looking at the original team, and what I didn't get either is exactly what you're saying. It's like, did they teleport in and just start talking to him, or is he kind of, just thinking about them, or is this just kind of a reenactment of what happened before they left? Which that's kind of, I think ultimately that's what this is, because what really makes it confusing is when they say, well, we'll see you, Eddie, it's coming from, the word balloon's coming from the door, it looks like they just left. So, yeah, that was a little confusing, but I just kind of let it slide because I got what they were trying to do, and, but yeah, I mean, that's the team he's talking to, obviously, is the ones that is of Gen 13 right now.
Right, yeah, because Ditto was there, and
yeah. So, wish I had a better answer, but
no, I think that was a good explanation, but even that we're not completely sure of.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably the most likely thing that was. It confused the crap out of me, but I don't know.
Yeah. No, same here.
But Grunge does have work to do. Spartan wants him to spy on John Lynch, who was, basically the father figure of Gen 13 whenever they were first formed and got them out of IO's clutches, in the very first miniseries. So John Lynch was very important to them, and he's kind of unsure about spying on him. And plus, he's a very difficult person to spy on. As a kind of the leader of Team 7, he's not somebody that would really, do well with that. So, Grunge actually tries to figure out a way that they can use. What the heck do they call that?
You talking about the doors?
Yeah, the doors. Use the doors to, I guess, do lots of tiny microscopic doors and move them around so that John can't keep track of them.
Yeah, which I thought was a really cool idea.
Exactly. It was pretty slick. And you can see between the Authority and the Wildcats, they keep putting in really cool bits of sci-fi and technology that we've never really read about in these books. So it's pretty slick.
Let me interrupt real quick, because this is an issue that came up at the boards too. Some people were saying, you're looking at this picture that Grunge is looking at. It shows the Gen 13 kids in their original costumes from the original run. And the kicker is they got their little creature Keylock with them, which is definitely only from the first run. So people were like, wait a minute, were the Gen 13 kids rebooted or not rebooted? Because there's this whole debate about, well, what was rebooted in Wildstorm and what wasn't, and obviously I've always said that they didn't, but we thankfully had Gail Simone come on the boards herself and cleared this up this week, so I'm going to read you her quote. This is concerning about Gen 13. She says, "This was a very weird deal. What happened was Wildstorm was going back and forth about whether the relaunches, in 2006 she's talking about, were all reboots or not. They decided that they were reboots, so I wrote the first issues that way. Then it turned out that they decided not to reboot, but to stick with current continuity. Only problem is they forgot to tell everyone. So when the book started coming out, mine, which is Gail Simone's, was a reboot, and the rest weren't. She says, I think it worked out okay. It's not Gen 13 without the original group, and using them would have been really hard due to all the previous continuity changes. When she says, I think it worked out, that still kind of caused a little bit of discussion, because basically, she wrote it to where these are the original kids. They basically just have new bodies, So this kind of further clears that up and lets you know that, yeah, this is the old group. They do remember, obviously, like you said, they remember that John Lynch was their mentor, and he remembers too that he was there too. I don't know if you remember, there was a Wildcats issue during Christos Gage's run when Tao's messing with everybody's mind. He says, that Lynch remembers the son that he failed or never had or whatever, referring to burnout. So anyway, just a little bit of tidbit there, because that was something that was discussed, and people who are going to read this issue will have the same question. So Anyway, go ahead, Ben. Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. It's those first 3 pages were really important, which is to Gen 13 lore in a Wildcats book. So a lot of Gen 13 discussion in this book. So anyways, Grunge hooks up with Link to try to figure out that, how to spy on John Lynch with the Doors technology, which they haven't exactly completed getting ready yet, because they're still trying to get the door technology up and running in the Skywatch. And then we flip over to Voodoo and the old weird doctor, I guess that is. That's kind of like that's a skull dude.
Yeah.
And, they are in Skywatch, and they are kind of aiding Battalion and Ladytron, who are on Earth in the trenches looking for the Doctor. And there's some crazy action scenes, and they actually are looking for the boy that we saw in Dream War, I believe.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't believe that. I was like, oh my God, they actually made Dream War relevant. I was like, wow. I'm like, if nothing else, this creative team needs to get credit for that, because, they deserve all the credit for that.
So, yeah, it's relevant to Wildstorm, but I'm sure DC will never, ever make it relevant at all. So they thought that he might be the new Doctor, which he is not. But Battalion takes him anyway for good measure, just because he's a little bastard and always dreaming up things to piss them off. So, and he will never take crap. So, and then moving on, we go to Nemesis, and she is taking care of business with Magestros. That's the best I can say. You'll just have to read it for yourself. She's still taking care of him, and yeah. I don't have much else to say about that.
I think she sums it up best when she tells him, "You're just as attractive to me without your powers, your voice, or your ability to move."
Yeah,
so.
She kind of creeped me out. I never saw that side of her, so
yeah, she's going crazy.
Yeah, definitely. And then we flip back to Skywatch again. This issue really goes through all these little snippets of what the main characters have been doing. So we go back and we see Warblade's recovery, and he really, really got messed up in the big war with the Red Blade. So to see him actually almost walking was really impressive. And he seems to be developing a relationship with, one of the staff, I guess, one of the health staff that's helping him recover. I don't even know if they said her name.
Yeah, it's Luisa, because he literally asked her, "How's Luisa something or other doing?" Where is it? There it is. How's Luisa Biondi? Interesting name. Ask her how she's doing.
And then we move over to Apollo. And he is working with LYNCH to fix all kinds of space stuff. And, there's a discussion with Midnighter. And I guess it would be before he left, or did he teleport in? This also confused me.
What do you mean? He hadn't gone anywhere yet by this point in the issue.
Oh, yeah. For some reason, I thought he was on the carrier for some dumb reason. I don't know why.
It's all that partying you did?
Yeah, too much drinking.
Don't drink in podcast. That's our public service announcement for today.
Right, because I'm gonna actually, there's a discussion with Apollo and Midnighter, and I'm actually gonna skip to the end because Midnighter goes back, and it seems like he's going back to that island that was Gaia, that was part of the Authority run, about 5 issues back, I guess. But before that ending, we get to see Zealot again, and she, like Nemesis, is also crazy. She's training human females to be the next Coda warriors, and she keeps bitching them out, saying that, you need to be better, you need to be Coda, and they're all like, we're not Coda warriors, we are, we're humans, you're kicking our ass, give us a break. And Jeremy is totally creeped out by, what Zealot is doing to these women, and how they're trying to, I guess, speed up breeding of warriors. And he tries to tell her that he thinks that this is a bad idea, and she just snaps on him and basically could have cut his head off right there, but didn't. I'm not sure how much longer he's going to put up with this before he just snaps and either leaves or, destroys the whole lab. But, yeah, I don't know. To me, it's kind of like Zealot was, is kind of freaking out like Majestic did, whenever he was being controlled by Tau in his little paradise island. Yeah. During Gage's run on Wildcats.
And you were saying that this is the island from the Authority run? Because it says formerly Zanzibar. Is that where the Doctor had his little kingdom?
Are we talking about? Oh yeah, you're talking about Zealot. No, I was talking about Midnighter, and you see him peeking through the. I guess maybe that is it. Yeah. See, I was thinking he was going to go after looking for the Doctor too, and he was on the island that was Gaia. But you're right. No, you're right. This is on Zanzibar, so he's definitely going after Zealot. Man, yeah. I did not catch up on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, No.
Somebody needs to read through a couple more times before doing a review. That would be me.
Oh, it's fine, dude. I was flipping through. I'm like, where did you see the island?
I don't know. I'm smoking crack. You're right. So I would have to say in the next issue, we are going to get a conflict with Zealot and Midnighter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a little bit.
What did you think of the issue, Joe? Because I obviously can't read.
No, dude, that's fine. I was just making sure I didn't miss something.
No. I'll let somebody talk that has a clue, so. And I'll just shut up now.
No, just a few little things. I mean, obviously, I thought it was a great issue. I thought it was more balanced than the previous one, only because the previous one was solely talking, which was fine after the first three all explosion issues. This one was more. This was solid. I mean, I'll just go ahead and tell you right now, I gave it a 9, just because I really appreciate the fact that this creative team, is just giving us solid issues every month, and it's like, I can't ask for anything else from this creative team right now. I mean, they're just delivering, and it's like, it's great. I mean, it's nice to have a comic that I just look forward to getting, because I know it's going to be a solid issue. I don't even really have to know the details yet. I just know they're going to deliver. So that's what's really nice about Wildcats right now. And and they're having so much fun with it too. I mean, just some of the little things that I'm going to touch on are, like, for example, in the Battalion and Lady Tron scene, there's so many little jabs that they take at a certain other Marvel, I'll just say it, they take it, it's in Marvel, lots of jabs that they take in Marvel here, and he does it in such a way where, Marvel can't say anything because they don't look like any of their characters, but there's certain little touches here and there that it's like, I know who they're talking about, So, I mean, that's great. I love when they poke fun at each other, I mean, it's all, this comics people, come on, have some fun with each other, have a sense of humor, which they do. And, yeah, like you said, with the whole going after Chimera, Winter was concerned about Battalion because of the way he's been controlled before, and then he basically zaps Chimera, which I think puts him into a permanent coma. Isn't that what he does?
Yeah, they didn't really explain it too much, but he basically said that he will never be able to, make those monsters and stuff anymore, I guess.
Yeah. So basically gave him like a mini lobotomy or something,
Yeah, that's exactly, yeah.
So that was pretty crazy. And, yeah, I mean, the whole thing with Nemesis, I am curious to see what the deal is there, because she is, so far in any of the stories, she's been in a lot of stories. I've never seen her portrayed as just kind of crazy, and that might be part of what she said. She might be just tired of everything. She basically just wants to be with Majestic, and since Karen people can't have a lot of babies, it takes them, years, centuries sometimes to conceive. She basically tells them, well, we're going to keep trying. That's all we're going to do.
Yeah, but it's really creepy because he's in a coma, and it's not like he's part of this.
Yeah, it's very one-sided.
Yeah.
So I don't know what her deal is all of a sudden to want to have a baby with him, but that's her thing. And yeah, the thing you were saying, what Apollo's helping Link build is a particle magnet, which is going to help clear up the atmosphere and actually allow Apollo to be in the atmosphere for longer. So that should be interesting, because that's been one of his setbacks, is he can't be in the atmosphere for very long without being depowered. So that's a good setup. Curious to see where that's going to go. And yeah, obviously the thing with Zealot, I don't know why she's gone crazy either. I don't know what's going on with the Karen women in this issue, because both her and Nemesis, like you said. But, a lot of people on the board said they were surprised that Maul went with her, because he went willingly, So for him to be freaked out at what she's doing, well, you kind of asked for it, dude. She already showed that she didn't want any part of what Spartan was doing, and it was, I don't know, it's interesting. I don't know if they're going to touch on what his motivations for going were, but obviously he's regretting them already.
Yeah, exactly. We already get one issue in, and he's like, oops, I probably shouldn't have been with this nut. nut job.
Yeah. What did you rate it?
I gave it an 8. I really liked the format. I liked that they broke up all the little, mini quests, really, is what's going on. Everybody has their task, and we get to see it all. It's not like an episode of Lost where we only see one group or one little mini team doing their thing. We get to see everybody. And, maybe some people won't like that because it's very brief, but to me it read well, and it was enough to keep you interested and want that next episode, that next issue, to see, what everybody's going to do with it. So it was kind of this was the second issue, but in an arc, but actually it was the first one, but it felt like a setup for, 6 stories. So,
yeah. So, but yeah, definitely good. Definitely one of the more solid series that's out there right now, just period. I mean, it's a really solid comic. And we're just going to wrap up by mentioning some of the other Wildstorm releases that have come out. We had another mini-series finish up. Dante's Inferno number 6 of 6 came out. FreeRealms number 9 of 12 also came out. For those of you who have been following Ex Machina, it's nearing the end of that series. Number 49 just came out. Number 50 will be out this summer, and that'll be the end of that series. Supernatural Beginnings In number 5 of 6 came out. The Authority number 1 special edition, which is part of DC's What's Next series, for $1 is out on the stands. A lot of people looking for a way to get into the Authority. There's lots of different places, but this is the beginning. If you don't want to put up the money for the trade, then you can just go get this issue for $1. And if you're not hooked, I don't know what else to tell you, because that first issue, I still remember it. It was great. So go check it out. It's just $1. And we also had God of War number 206, which, if you remember, issue 1 sold out. So I'm sure issue 2 is going to go up pretty quick too. Everybody's going to wonder, why did issue 1 sell out? They're probably going to check it out. Resident Evil number 5 of 6, which is one of those that has taken a long time to finish, but it's almost done, folks. So if you've been there pressing and just waiting patiently for each issue, remember, they have not solicited them until they've been done. So it's out there now, and it's almost done. So so check out our sponsor at In Stock Trades. The trades that came out this week or actually for the last 3 weeks, were Ex Machina Volume 9, Ring Out the Old, and Ex Machina, the Deluxe Edition, hardcover, and that's book 3, and I just got that for my birthday, so woohoo! Cool.
Only 2 more of those to go for the Deluxe Editions. FreeRealms book 1 released. World of Warcraft Ashbringer came out, and Robotech Prelude to the Shadow Chronicles released. So a lot of trades came out in the last 3 weeks, and so go pick those up at In Stock Trades, and also check out our other sponsor, which is Discount Comic Book Service, and you can reach them at dcbservice.com or click on the banner at our homepage. That would help us out a lot. Yeah,
and basically each of those trades is going to be up to 30% off at In Stock, and remember, there's no shipping on orders over $50, and you'll definitely hit that if you get all these trades that we mentioned. So anyway, thanks again for listening, folks, and we'll see you in another couple of weeks.
See you. This is a radio podcast. We only listen to each other.
Oh yeah. Can we do that, man?
No, it's